You're standing in the backyard with dirt under your fingernails that doesn't belong to today. The soil is darker here, wetter, recently disturbed. You know that before you know why. The dog's paw comes down again, slow this time, almost careful, and the earth gives way with a sound like a sigh. Not loud, not dramatic, just tired, as if it's been waiting for permission. "Buddy," you murmur, but your voice doesn't carry. It sticks somewhere between your chest and your teeth. The golden retriever ignores you. He always does when he's like this. He isn't frantic. This isn't the chaotic digging of a bored animal. His movements are deliberate, measured, nose low, tail still, ears relaxed but alert, like he knows exactly where to place his weight. Like this spot has been calling him longer than he's been alive. The late afternoon sun slants through the bare branches of the old maple, catching dust in the air. Renovation dust. The house behind you groans softly as if adjusting its bones, new beams, exposed foundation, a skeleton you never knew existed until you were forced to look. You wipe your hands on your jeans and step closer. "Hey! What did you find?" Buddy's paw scrapes again, then stops. He leans forward, sniffs, and exhales sharply through his nose, a sound that's almost satisfied. You crouch despite yourself. The smell hits first. Damp soil, rust, paper that has been wet and dried and wet again over decades. Time has a scent, you realize. It smells like this. Your fingers close around the edge of something solid. Metal, cold, even through the dirt. Your heart stutters, not fast, not slow, just off, like a step missed on a staircase. You dig with your hands now, abandoning the shovel, leaning uselessly against the fence. Soil packs under your nails. A small stone presses into your palm. Buddy steps back obediently, sitting beside you, watching. His head tilts once, just a fraction, as if checking whether you understand the rules now. The box emerges inch by inch. It's rectangular, old, the kind of tin container that once held something ordinary, cookies maybe, or nails. The lid is warped, edges bitten by rust. One corner has collapsed inward. You brush dirt from the top with the flat of your hand. There's writing, not your handwriting, not your mother's careful cursive, not your father's blocky, practical print, just 4 numbers scratched deep enough to scar the metal. 1992. Your mouth goes dry. You were 9 then, old enough to remember the year by how the kitchen smelled. Burnt coffee in the mornings, lemon cleaner on Saturdays. Old enough to know your parents were tired that year, that they whispered more. That doors closed softly but firmly. Old enough to remember nothing else. Buddy's nose nudges your elbow gently, a grounding weight. You glance at him, and for a moment the world narrows to the warmth of his fur, the solid reassurance of something alive and uncomplicated. "You didn't have to," you tell him quietly. He blinks at you, patient, certain. You lift the box. It's heavier than it should be. The metal protests when you try to open it. The hinge resists, then gives with a small, sharp squeal that makes you flinch. Inside, everything is wrapped in a plastic bag, yellowed with age, brittle to the touch. Photographs spill out first. They slide into your lap like they've been waiting. Your breath forgets what it's supposed to do. A hospital room. Beige walls. Fluorescent light. A woman in a bed. Your mother, younger than you've ever seen her, hair damp with sweat, eyes swollen and bright with something that isn't exhaustion. She's holding a baby, not you. You know that immediately. Bone-deep certainty. The kind that doesn't need logic. The baby's face is turned toward the camera, eyes closed, mouth open in a soft, unfinished yawn. A tiny fist curls around your mother's finger with startling strength. Your vision blurs at the edges. You blink hard, once, twice, until the image steadies. There are more photos. Your father standing awkwardly beside the bed, one hand gripping the metal rail like he might fall without it. A nurse smiling at the edge of the frame. A date stamped faintly in the corner. March 1992. Your pulse begins to count backward. You flip the photograph over. There's writing this time, your mother's handwriting. You recognize it instantly, the slight rightward slant, the way her A's never quite closed. "I hope you're warm. I hope you're loved. I hope one day you understand." The ground feels unsteady beneath you, though you're kneeling. Buddy presses closer, his shoulder against your side. You hadn't realized you were swaying. "Okay," you whisper, though nothing is okay. "Okay." You reach back into the box with hands that don't feel like yours anymore. Letters, dozens of them, some folded neatly, some crumpled and smoothed again. Envelopes with no addresses, pages written front and back, ink fading from blue to gray. You open the first one without choosing it. If you ever find this, it begins. If this box ever comes back into the light, your throat locks, not tight exactly, just closed, like a door you didn't know existed until it refused to open. You skim, then stop. Force yourself to slow down. Your mother's voice lives in the curves of the letters. You can hear her now, even though she's been gone 3 years. The way she used to hum while cooking, slightly off key. The way she paused before saying your name, like she was tasting it. "We didn't lose you," she writes. "We chose something we thought was mercy. I don't know if that makes it better or worse. The air feels thinner with every line." You glance toward the house. The back door stands open, sunlight spilling across the kitchen floor where the cabinets have been stripped bare. The place where you learn to walk, to fight, to forgive, a house full of memories that suddenly feel incomplete, like a sentence missing its subject. You look back down at the box, at the truth your parents buried beneath a swing set you begged for. Beneath summers and birthday parties and a dog you once had who died quietly in his sleep. Another photograph slips free. This one isn't a baby. It's a child, maybe 5 or 6, sitting on a front porch you don't recognize. There's a gap-toothed smile, a familiar tilt of the head. Your stomach drops, not sharply but steadily, like an elevator descending too far. You trace the edge of the photo with your thumb. The resemblance isn't dramatic, no movie moment shock, it's subtler than that. The curve of the eyebrow, the way the eyes squint slightly in the sun, a shared geometry. Family isn't always loud, you think. Sometimes it whispers. Buddy lets out a low, almost inaudible sound in his chest. Not a bark, not a growl, just acknowledgement. You fold the photo carefully and place it back in the box, as if it might bruise if you aren't gentle. Your mind reaches for explanations, for rational containers, renovation stress, old papers, something misinterpreted. But your body knows better. You close the lid. The metal clicks softly, final but not sealed. Not yet. The wind moves through the yard, rustling dead leaves along the fence line. Somewhere down the street, a lawnmower starts. Ordinary life insisting on itself. You sit there longer than you mean to, hands resting on the box, Buddy's warmth steady at your side. You inherited this house thinking it held only memories. You're beginning to understand it also holds a question that's been waiting 30 years to be asked. You don't take the box inside right away. You should. You know you should. But your body refuses the suggestion, as if crossing the threshold with it would change something permanently, as if the truth has weight, and once it's indoors, it belongs to the house again. So you sit there instead. The grass presses damply into your knees. The evening cool creeps through your jeans. Buddy stays close, not leaning this time. Just present his flank, a quiet wall against your side. Every so often, he glances toward the far end of the yard, toward the fence line where the soil still looks darker than the rest, disturbed and exposed. Like a wound that hasn't decided whether it wants to heal. You open the box again, carefully, respectfully, like it might be listening. The letters smell faintly of cedar and dust, not unpleasant, familiar in a way you can't quite place. You choose one at random, then hesitate, then tuck it back and select another. You don't trust your instincts right now. This one is dated July 14, 1994. You would have been 11. That was the summer your parents stopped going to the lake. The year your mother insisted on repainting the kitchen, even though the cabinets were fine. The year your father took up jogging at night. "We saw you today," your mother writes. "From a distance. We didn't plan it. It just happened." Your fingers tighten on the paper. She describes a park, a woman on a bench, a little boy chasing pigeons with reckless joy. Your mother writes about his laugh, how it startled her, how it felt familiar and foreign at the same time. She writes about gripping your father's arm so hard he had bruises the next day. "You look happy," she writes. "That has to be enough." You swallow. The words don't accuse, they don't beg, they sit there quietly like facts that learned long ago not to ask for permission. Another letter. "We talk about you when we shouldn't. We don't talk about you when we should." You press the paper flat against your thigh, smoothing wrinkles that have survived 3 decades underground. Your parents were careful people, private. They didn't hide things out of malice. They hid them because they believed silence was safer than the wrong truth. You wonder how many dinners, how many birthdays, how many ordinary Tuesdays passed with this secret sitting just beyond reach, literally beneath your feet. Buddy shifts, standing now. He noses the edge of the box, then looks up at you, tail giving a single, slow sweep. Not impatience. Encouragement. "Yeah," you say quietly. "I see it too." You gather everything back into the tin. This time, you latch it fully. The click is louder than before, decisive. Standing is harder than it should be. Your legs feel unused, like you've been sitting for years instead of minutes. When you finally straighten, the yard looks unchanged. Same fence, same tree, same uneven patch of grass. But you know better now. Nothing stays the same once it's been named. Inside, the house smells like sawdust and old paint. Exposed studs line the hallway like ribs. You set the box on the kitchen counter, the one surface that's been spared. Demolition so far. The silence indoors is different, thicker, expectant. You fill the kettle without remembering deciding to. The sound of water hitting metal is too loud. You flinch. Then exhale slowly through your nose until your shoulders drop a fraction. Buddy pads in behind you, nails clicking softly on tile. He circles once, twice, then settles near your feet, chin on paws, eyes following every movement. "You're not in trouble," you tell him, "though he hasn't done anything wrong. I just need a minute," the kettle screams. You turn it off too quickly, sloshing hot water onto your hand. The sting snaps you fully back into your body. You welcome it. You don't make tea. Instead, you sit at the table and open the box again. This time, you look for order. The letters span years. The tone shifts. Grief giving way to something steadier, then flaring again without warning. There are gaps you can feel but not see, absences that suggest moments too painful to record. At the bottom of the box, beneath everything else, there's a manila envelope, thicker than the rest. Inside, photocopies, adoption paperwork, names redacted in thick black lines, dates, signatures, official stamps, evidence that this wasn't a secret born of chaos, but of decision. Your parents planned this. Your jaw tightens, not in anger exactly, but in something sharper, more precise. There's a final page clipped to the back, a note in your father's handwriting. "If you're reading this, we're gone," he writes, "and you deserve the truth we were too afraid to give you while we could still see your face." You lean back in the chair, wood pressing into your spine. The house creaks around you, pipes knock. Somewhere, a floorboard settles with a small complaint, all the noises you grew up with suddenly sounding like witnesses. "We were told no contact was best," your father continues. "We believed them. Maybe we needed to." You snort softly despite yourself. "Of course you did," you murmur. "He always trusted systems, manuals, instructions." Your phone vibrates on the table. The sound is jarring enough that Buddy lifts his head instantly, ears pricked. You stare at the screen for a moment before looking. A text from the contractor, a question about load-bearing walls, the future demanding attention like it always does, impatient and unaware. You set the phone face down. Not yet. Your gaze drifts back to the papers, to the dates, to the carefully obscured names. There's a social worker listed, a first name only, a city. You feel the pull then, subtle but insistent. Not curiosity, responsibility. This isn't just something that happened. This is something still happening. Buddy stands, stretches, and walks toward the back door. He stops there, waiting, looking back at you. An invitation. You grab the box. Outside, the sky has shifted to that pale gold that only lasts a few minutes. The yard looks softer in this light, edges blurred, forgiving. You carry the box to the spot where Buddy dug it up. The hole isn't deep. It never was. Just enough. You crouch and place the box beside it, not in it. "I won't put it back," you tell him. "I promise." Buddy sniffs the edge of the hole, then looks up at you again, tail wagging once. Agreement. You don't know what the next step is yet. You only know there is one. Someone out there shares your face in small, undeniable ways. Someone grew up asking questions you never thought to ask. Someone may have been circling this truth from the other side, just as carefully, just as afraid. You stand as the light fades. Behind you, the house waits. In front of you, 30 years of silence begins to thin. Morning doesn't arrive so much as seep in. Light leaks through the kitchen window, pale and cautious, settling across the counter where the box still sits. You must have fallen asleep at the table at some point. Your neck aches, your mouth tastes faintly of dust, and Buddy's head is resting on your foot like an anchor. You shift slightly. He wakes instantly. His tail thumps once against the chair leg, not excitement, recognition. "Yeah," you whisper. "Me too." You stand slowly, joints protesting, and open the window. The neighborhood exhales. A car door slams down the street. Someone laughs. A sprinkler ticks rhythmically, metronomic and calm. Life continues at a pace that feels almost insulting. The box hasn't moved. You half expected it to. Some childish part of you imagined it might disappear overnight, dissolve back into dirt and imagination. But it's still there, solid, real, waiting. You make coffee this time, strong, bitter. You drink it standing up, staring at the papers spread carefully across the table, already sorted into loose piles by year. You don't remember doing that either. Your hands knew what to do before you did. Buddy noses one of the envelopes gently, then looks up at you, ears slightly back. Questioning. "I'm not mad," you tell him. Just, focused. He accepts this explanation and lies down again, close enough that his fur brushes your ankle. You pick up the paperwork. The adoption agency's name is printed at the top in a font that hasn't existed for decades. Below it, an address, a phone number with too few digits. A city you haven't thought about since your parents stopped visiting friends there for convenience. You feel something click into place. Not loudly, not dramatically, more like a puzzle piece settling when you weren't even sure it belonged to this box. Your parents didn't just bury the truth. They built their lives around it. You flip through the pages again, slower now. There's a section labeled Closed Adoption Agreement. Another stamped finalized. Your finger traces the ink, following lines that once dictated the future of a child who would never know your name. At the bottom of one page, half hidden beneath a paperclip rusted into uselessness, there's a handwritten note. Not your parents' handwriting! If circumstances change, child has expressed interest in future contact. Your chest goes still, not tight, not heavy, still. The room feels suddenly too small, walls inching closer without moving at all. You reread the line, then again. Interest in future contact, you murmur. Buddy lifts his head. Did you hear that? You ask him, a faint edge creeping into your voice. They wanted to know us. Buddy's tail thumps twice. Solid, affirming. You press your lips together, breathing through your nose until the rush of sensation eases into something manageable. Hope is a dangerous thing. You've learned that. It can make you careless, but this isn't nothing. You grab your laptop from the living room, stepping over exposed wiring and half-removed baseboards. The house feels less like a project now and more like a witness, watching to see what you'll do with what it's given back. You type the agency's name into the search bar. Nothing. You try variations, old spellings, add the city. Still nothing. A newer site pops up instead. Merged organizations, updated missions, smiling stock photos of families who look nothing like yours. You scroll, click, dig. Buddy pads over and sits beside you, head tilted toward the screen as if he understands the significance of scrolling. There, you whisper. A footnote, barely noticeable. Formerly operating as... The name changes, the address changes, but the lineage is there, faint and persistent, like a family resemblance. You find a phone number. Your finger hovers over the call button. This is the moment you realize, the first one that can't be undone. Calling doesn't mean anything will happen, but it means you've chosen a direction. You glance down at Buddy. He looks back at you steadily, eyes warm, unflinching. Whatever he found in the dirt yesterday, whatever instinct led him there, it hasn't wavered. Okay, you say. To him. To yourself. To the quiet presence of your parents lingering in the corners of the room. You call! It rings twice. A woman answers, her voice practiced but not cold. You give the name. Explain, haltingly, why you're calling. You hear yourself say, my parents, recently passed, found documents. The words sound foreign, like they belong to someone else's story. There's a pause on the line. Papers shifting. Keyboard clicks. Yes, the woman says finally. I see the file. Your hand tightens around the phone. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to tell you, she continues carefully, but I can confirm that the adoption was closed at your parents' request. You swallow. And the child? You ask. You don't use sibling? Not yet. Did they ever? Another pause. Longer this time. They contacted us, the woman says, several years ago. Your heart begins a slow, deliberate climb. They were looking for medical history, she adds quickly. That's often how it starts. And? You don't push, but the word lands heavy, and they asked about siblings. The room tilts slightly. You brace a hand against the desk. Buddy stands, pressing his head into your thigh, grounding you without asking permission. Did you tell them about me, you ask? No, the woman says. We couldn't, not without consent. You let out a breath you didn't realize you'd been holding. Not relief, not disappointment, just reality. But, she continues, they left contact information in case circumstances ever changed. Circumstances. Like parents dying, like dogs digging, like truth refusing to stay buried. She gives you an email address. You write it down with hands that don't quite obey you. The letters are careful, deliberate, as if the page might judge you if you rush. When the call ends, the silence rushes back in, louder than before. You sit there for a long time, staring at the email address. It feels unreal in its simplicity. A few letters, a domain, proof of existence distilled into something small enough to fit on a scrap of paper. You stand and walk to the kitchen, the note clenched in your fist. You place it beside the box. 2 artifacts, 2 halves of a bridge. Buddy follows, stopping short when you do, watching. You ready for this? You ask him. He yawns. Settles, waits. You open your laptop again and begin to type. The cursor blinks, patient and unforgiving. Hello, you write. Then delete it. My name is... Delete. You close your eyes. You think of the photos, of the child on the porch, of your mother watching from a distance, heartbreaking quietly so no one would notice. You type again. I don't know how to start this. You leave that sentence. I recently inherited my parents' house. You add more. During renovations, something was found. It led me to you. You stop. Reread. Adjust. You don't mention adoption. Not yet. You don't claim anything. You simply offer truth. When you finish, the message feels fragile, incomplete, honest. Your finger hovers over send. You glance once more at Buddy. He hasn't moved. His eyes stay on you, steady as ever. Here we go, you whisper. You click. The message disappears. There is no immediate response, no sign, no confirmation that this was the right choice. Just the quiet hum of the house. The soft sound of Buddy breathing, the weight of 30 years shifting slowly, imperceptibly from past to present. Somewhere out there, someone now has a new piece of information. Waiting has a texture you hadn't noticed before, not really, but now it presses against your skin like humidity before a storm. Thick, inescapable, charged with something unnamed. You don't refresh your inbox, not at first. You clean instead, or at least you move things from one place to another with the vague intention of order. Old cabinets stacked against the wall, boxes labeled attic in your mother's handwriting, a chipped mug you don't remember keeping. Buddy follows you room to room, a quiet shadow. Every time you stop, he stops. Every time you kneel, he sits beside you, close but not intrusive, as if he understands that this is work of a different kind. The house smells like exposed wood and memories warmed by sunlight. You scrub a patch of wall that will be torn down tomorrow. The sponge squeaks. Paint flakes cling stubbornly, refusing to let go even as you apply pressure. Stubborn runs in the family, you mutter. The sponge slips. Your knuckles scrape drywall. The sting is sharp and immediate. You welcome it again. Physical sensation is easier than anticipation. By noon, the sun has shifted, cutting through the living room in long rectangles. Dust floats lazily through the light. You sit on the floor with your back against the couch, laptop balanced on your knees. Still nothing. You check once, just once. Inbox empty. Sent message sitting there, unchanged, unread or read and unanswered. You can't tell. You don't know which is worse. You close the laptop. Buddy drops his head onto your thigh, heavy and warm. You rest your hand on his neck, fingers sinking into thick fur, grounding yourself in something undeniably present. They might not write back, you say out loud. Buddy breathes. They don't owe me anything. He breathes again. That doesn't mean it won't hurt. The admission hangs in the air, fragile and exposed. You lean your head back against the couch and close your eyes. A memory surfaces uninvited. You're 12, standing in the hallway outside your parents' bedroom. Your mother is crying, not loudly, the kind of crying that tries to be invisible. Your father's voice is low, urgent, too calm for the moment. You remember freezing there, heart racing, afraid to move, afraid to be noticed. You remember walking back to your room and turning the radio on too loud, pretending you hadn't heard anything. You never asked what that was about. You wonder how many times you chose ignorance because it felt kinder. Buddy shifts, sensing the change in your breathing. He lifts his head and licks your wrist once, gentle, grounding. Thanks, you whisper. The afternoon drags. You drink water, forget to eat. Pace the hallway until the house begins to feel smaller with every pass. At 4:30, your phone buzzes. Not the email, a text from a neighbor asking if the renovations are going well. You stare at the screen, jaw clenched, then set it face down without answering. You don't want small talk, not today. The light outside softens again. Evening approaching. That same gold from yesterday threatens to return, and with it, the memory of dirt under your nails and the weight of the box. You open the laptop. Inbox, unread, 1. For a moment, your vision tunnels. The edges of the room blur. Your fingers hover uselessly above the keyboard, suddenly uncertain of their purpose. Buddy stands, alert now. Tail, still, watching. You click. The email is short. Hello. I wasn't sure I'd ever hear from anyone connected to them. I've been trying to figure out how to respond. Your chest locks, not in panic, but in something like suspension, as if your body has paused to give your mind time to catch up. You keep reading. I don't know what you know, I don't know what you were told, but I've been looking for answers most of my life. Your eyes sting, you blink once, twice, then give up trying to stop it. There's more. If you're open to talking, I am too. No expectations, no assumptions, just honesty. At the bottom, a name, not redacted, not hidden, a real name. You say it out loud, test how it feels in your mouth. It settles there easily, like it's always belonged. Buddy whines softly, stepping closer, pressing against your legs as if to hold you together. They wrote back, you tell him, voice rough. They want to talk. Your hands tremble, not wildly, but enough that you rest them flat on the table until steadiness returns. You read the email again, then a third time. Each pass reveals something new, a caution here, a hope there, restraint threaded through every line. This isn't someone bursting through a door. This is someone standing on the other side, knocking carefully. You type your response slowly. You thank them. You acknowledge the strangeness. You say you're open. You say you understand if they need time. You don't promise anything you can't give. When you hit send, the act feels different than before. Less like throwing something into the dark, more like extending a hand. You don't talk much that evening. You eat a piece of toast, standing at the counter. You sit on the back steps with Buddy beside you, watching the sky dim. The yard looks peaceful again. Innocent. The hole has been filled in loosely, soil piled unevenly. You haven't tamped it down. Something in you doesn't want it sealed just yet. A breeze moves through the trees. Leaves whisper secrets they've kept longer than you have. You think of your parents, of the choice they made, of the life that followed, of the silence that shaped you without your consent. You don't feel anger. Not really. You feel understanding. Complicated and incomplete, but growing. Your phone buzzes again. Another email, shorter this time. Maybe we could talk on the phone first. Tomorrow, if that works. Tomorrow, a word that suddenly carries weight. Tomorrow, you repeat. Buddy's tail thumps once against the step. You nod as if agreeing to a contract you've been preparing for your whole life without knowing it. Okay, you say. Tomorrow. You wake before the alarm. Not jolted, not panicked, just awake. Like your body decided there was no point pretending this was an ordinary morning. Light filters through the bedroom curtains in thin, tentative lines. The house is quiet in the way it only ever is before something changes. Buddy is already alert, lying on the floor beside the bed, eyes open, watching you as if he's been waiting for permission to start the day. Yeah, you whisper. I know. You shower longer than necessary. Let the water run hot until steam fogs the mirror and blurs your reflection into something softer, less defined. You stand there, palms flat against tile, breathing in the clean, sharp scent of soap, grounding yourself in sensation. When you dress, you change shirts twice. Not because the first two are wrong exactly, but because neither feels right either. You settle on something simple, familiar, something that doesn't feel like a costume. The kitchen looks different in the morning, less haunted, more practical. The box sits where you left it, closed, patient. You don't open it today. You already know what's inside. Coffee helps. So does routine. You feed Buddy, refill his water bowl, step outside with him while he sniffs the perimeter of the yard like he's checking that nothing else has surfaced overnight. The filled-in patch of soil holds. For now. You check the time. Too early. You check again 10 minutes later. Still early. When the phone finally rings, it doesn't sound dramatic. No special tone, no warning, just a vibration against the table, insistent and ordinary. Your stomach dips, not sharply but deeply, like the ground giving way under careful steps. You pick up. Hello? There's a pause. Breathing on the other end. Controlled, but not casual. Hi, a voice says. It's me, not your sibling, not the adopted child, just me. The simplicity of it lands harder than anything else could have. Hi, you say back. Your voice sounds steadier than you feel. I'm glad you called. Another pause. You imagine them standing somewhere familiar to them, but not to you. A kitchen, a living room, maybe sitting down, maybe pacing. I wasn't sure how to start, they admit. You huff out a quiet breath. That makes two of us. Something in the air shifts. Not comfort, but permission. They tell you their name again, slowly, like they want you to hear it properly this time. You repeat it back, careful with the syllables, and there's a brief silence afterward that feels right, like a door clicking into place. They ask about the house. You describe it, the renovations, the creaking floors, the way the backyard slopes just enough that rainwater always pools in one corner. That sounds familiar, they say softly. I've seen pictures. Your fingers curl against the edge of the table. Pictures? Yeah, from when I was a baby. There weren't many, but enough to know the place. You glance toward the back window, toward the tree, the fence, the ground that kept secrets longer than anyone intended. They kept them, you say, not a question. They did, the voice says, not everything, but enough. You don't ask what everything means, not yet. They talk about their life, not in a neat timeline. More like scattered stones you have to step between. A childhood that was mostly good. Parents who loved them fiercely but carefully, as if afraid of breaking something invisible. Questions that were answered partially, then deferred, then avoided. I always knew there was something, they say, a shape I couldn't name. You nod, even though they can't see you. I think I did too, you admit. I just didn't know what it was. You tell them about Buddy, how he dug up the box, you say, like he knew. There's a soft laugh on the other end, not disbelief. Wonder. Dogs do that, they say. Find things we don't want to look at. Buddy lifts his head at the sound of your voice changing, ears angling toward the phone. You crouch and rest a hand on his neck, fingers threading through fur. They ask about your parents. You choose your words carefully. You talk about your mother's quiet strength, your father's steadiness, their flaws, their love, the way silence became a habit that felt almost like care. They were afraid of doing the wrong thing, you say finally. So were mine, they reply. Just in a different direction. The call stretches. Minutes become an hour without either of you noticing. There are pauses where neither of you speaks, but neither of you hangs up. The silence isn't empty, it's working. At one point they ask, do you ever wonder what it would have been like? You close your eyes, every version at once, you say, and none of them feel more real than this one. There's a soft sound on the line. Not crying, not laughter, something in between. Release, maybe. By the time you hang up, your tea has gone cold on the counter. You don't remember making it. You sit down slowly, like your legs need instruction again. Buddy presses against you immediately, solid and warm. You wrap an arm around him without thinking. That was them, you tell him. That was Family. He exhales, long and content, as if that word has settled somewhere it belongs. The rest of the day moves differently, lighter somehow. The house feels less like it's holding its breath. You open windows, let air circulate. You even hum absent-mindedly while sorting a box of old books, catching yourself only when the sound surprises you. In the afternoon, another email arrives. A picture. It takes a moment to load. When it does, you recognize the face instantly, not because it's identical to yours, but because it carries the same quiet geometry, the same thoughtful eyes, the same almost smile. You sit very still. Buddy nudges your knee, sensing the shift. "They're real," you whisper. "They're really real." You reply with a photo of your own. "Nothing fancy, just you in the backyard." Buddy sitting beside you, tongue lolling slightly, tail mid-wag. "You don't explain the dog. Some things don't need explanation." As evening settles in, you realize something else has changed. The truth didn't shatter anything. It rearranged things. The days after the call don't slow down. They stretch, elastic, taut. Every hour feels borrowed from something larger, something waiting just out of view. You and them talk again the next evening. Shorter this time, easier. You exchange ordinary facts, jobs, cities, small preferences that feel oddly significant. Coffee black, music played too loud in the car, a tendency to reread the same book when life gets noisy. Patterns emerge. Not proof, just echoes. Between calls, the house continues to give things back. You find a box in the hall closet labeled tools, but beneath the wrenches and rusted nails, there's a folder you've never seen before. No label, just tucked behind a paint tray like it didn't want to be found. Inside, copies of letters, your parents' letters, not the ones you uncovered in the yard, their versions, the ones that were never sent. Drafts, revisions, words crossed out, rewritten, softened. You sit on the floor with Buddy beside you, sunlight cutting across the carpet, and read your parents struggling in ink. "We think of you every day." Crossed out. "We think of you often." Crossed out. "We hope you're well." That one stays. You can see them negotiating with themselves line by line, trying to say just enough without opening a door they were afraid they wouldn't be able to close. There's one letter that stops you. Not because it's dramatic, because it's honest. "We told your sister." The word sister is scratched out so hard it tears the paper. "Our daughter nothing. That was our mistake, not you." Your chest tightens, not painfully, but decisively, like something aligning. Buddy shifts closer, resting his chin on the page. You smile faintly despite everything. "Yeah," you whisper. "I think so too." That night, you dream of the backyard. Not as it is now, but as it was when you were small. The grass greener, the swing set still standing. You're digging, not frantically, not afraid. Just digging because it feels necessary. When you look up, someone stands on the other side of the fence watching. You can't see their face, but you know who they are. You wake with your heart steady and your mind unusually clear. The next call comes with a question. "Would you want to meet?" they ask. Careful, no pressure hidden in the words. "Not yet," if that's too much. Just, eventually. You don't answer right away. You look around the kitchen, at the exposed beams, the half-painted walls, the box still sitting quietly on the counter like it's finished its job, but willing to help more if needed. Buddy lies at your feet, tail thumping once as if to remind you he's there. "I think so," you say slowly. "I just want to do it right." A pause. "I feel the same," they reply. You talk logistics, neutral territory. A park, maybe? Somewhere public but not crowded? Somewhere with benches and trees and enough space to breathe? You don't set a date yet. That feels important too. In the days that follow, something unexpected happens. You stop feeling like you're betraying your parents by asking questions. Instead, it feels like you're finishing a sentence they didn't know how to end. You bring the box down to the basement one afternoon, not to hide it, but to sort it properly, to give it a place. Buddy refuses to follow you down the steps at first, stopping at the top and looking down with a seriousness you've learned to respect. "It's okay," you tell him. "I won't stay long." He considers this, then descends carefully, each step deliberate. You sit on the concrete floor with the box open between your knees. You organize, label, create timelines. You don't rush. At the bottom, beneath everything else, there's one final envelope you missed before. Heavier paper. Sealed. Your name is written on the front. Your full name. You stare at it for a long moment. This is the part of the story your parents meant only for you. Your fingers slide under the flap. The seal breaks easily, as if it's been waiting. "Inside, a single page. We wanted to tell you so many times," your mother writes, but every year that passed made it harder, not easier. You read slowly, letting each line land. "We were afraid you would feel replaced or incomplete. or that you would look at us differently. Your father's handwriting appears near the bottom, steadier, firmer. If this truth ever finds you, please know this: love is not divided, it's expanded. You press the paper flat against your chest, not trying to stop the tears this time. They come quietly, efficiently, like something that's waited long enough. Buddy presses his weight against your side, grounding, present, loyal to the moment. When you finally stand, the basement feels less heavy. The stairs don't loom the way they did before. You carry the letter upstairs and place it back in the box. You don't bury it again. You close the lid gently. That evening, you write another email. You tell them about the letter, about the drafts, about the word your mother almost used and then crossed out. You don't ask for anything. You just share. The reply comes later that night. I always wondered, they write, if someone else out there felt like they were missing a chapter. You stare at the words until they blur. Outside, the wind moves through the yard. The filled-in earth settles another fraction of an inch, not disappearing, just becoming part of the surface again. You realize then that this isn't the darkest moment of the story. It's the quiet before something braver. Because the next step won't be taken alone. The park looks smaller than you imagined. Not disappointingly so, just more human, more manageable. Trees line the walking path like polite observers, leaves whispering overhead in a language you don't need to understand to feel steadied by it. A few benches sit in the shade. A playground hums in the distance with the sound of children who haven't learned yet how complicated families can be. You arrive early! Of course you do! Buddy walks at your side, leash loose in your hand, his pace calm but attentive. He stops every so often to sniff something only he can interpret, then moves on, satisfied. You envy that. The ability to gather information and let it go. You choose a bench near the far end of the park. Not isolated, but not central either. A place that allows for retreat without signaling fear. You sit, stand, sit again. Your phone rests in your palm like a small pulsing weight. You haven't checked it in 3 minutes. You force yourself not to. Buddy settles at your feet, body angled outward, watchful, protective without being tense. Don't, you murmur when he lets out a low huff at a passing jogger. They're not a threat. He glances up at you, then back to the path, as if filing that information away for later. The minutes stretch, elastic again. You replay your parents' words in your head. Love is not divided, it's expanded. You test the sentence from different angles, like turning a stone over in your palm. It still holds. Footsteps approach, not hurried, not hesitant, measured. You look up before you realize you've decided to. They stop a few feet away. For a moment, neither of you speaks. Recognition doesn't arrive like lightning. There's no dramatic intake of breath, no cinematic alignment of features. Instead, it unfolds quietly. The same thoughtful pause before speaking. The same way the shoulders settle when standing still. The same expression that hovers just short of a smile, as if joy is something to be approached carefully. Hi, they say. Hi, you reply. The word lands differently in person. Fuller, warmer. They glance at Buddy first, then back at you. Is this the famous dog? Buddy rises, tail wagging slowly, deliberately. He steps forward and sniffs their hand with the seriousness of an interview. He is, you say, and apparently he approves. They laugh then. Not guarded. Real. The sound loosens something in your chest that you hadn't realized was clenched. You gesture to the bench. Do you want to sit? You sit side by side, not touching, but close enough to feel the shared warmth. The space between you isn't empty. It's charged, alive. For a while, you talk about neutral things. The weather, the drive, the park, the dog. You let the ordinary lay a foundation strong enough to hold what comes next. Eventually, the silence shifts. They look out at the trees. I used to imagine this, they say quietly. Meeting you, I mean. I just never knew where to place it in my life. You nod. I didn't know there was a place for it at all. They glance at you then. Really, look. Their eyes don't search your face for proof. They simply take it in. I don't feel like something's missing anymore, they say. I feel like something's been added. Your throat goes still, not blocked, just suspended, like your body has paused to honor the moment. Buddy presses his shoulder against your shin, grounding you without intruding. I was afraid, you admit, that this would hurt. That it would unravel things. And, they ask gently, and it didn't, you say. It clarified them. You talk about your parents, about their parents, about the parallel choices that shape two different lives from the same beginning. There's no blame in the conversation, no need to assign fault, just understanding slowly assembled. At one point, they reach into their bag and pull out a photograph. This was taken the day I turned 10, they say, handing it to you. You recognize the porch immediately. The angle, the light. I wondered, they continue, if someone was looking at me from far away. I don't know why. I just wondered. Your fingers curl around the edge of the photo. We were, you say softly. They were. They exhale long and slow. Release without collapse. Buddy rests his head on their knee as if it's the most natural thing in the world. They glance down, startled, then smile. I guess he's decided, they say. He tends to, you reply. Time behaves strangely after that. It moves, but not forward, more like outward, expanding to make room for everything you're saying and everything you're not. When you finally stand to leave, it doesn't feel like an ending. It feels like punctuation, a comma, not a period. You exchange plans, not promises, a dinner soon, another walk, a chance to look through the box together someday, if and when it feels right. As you walk away, Buddy glances back once, as if committing the moment to memory. You don't look back. You don't need to. The space between you has changed shape. You bring the box upstairs, not ceremoniously, not like an offering, just the way you'd carry anything fragile that matters. Both hands, careful grip, attention focused. They watch you set it on the table. The kitchen looks different with someone else in it. Fuller, less like a place you're passing through and more like one you're returning to. Light moves across the counter, catching the edges of the tin. The rust looks softer somehow, less like decay and more like evidence of survival. Buddy lies down at a respectful distance, close enough to be part of it, far enough to let you breathe. I've seen parts, they say, but not all of it. You nod. Neither have I. Not with someone else here. That feels important. You sit across from each other, the box between you like a quiet third presence. Neither of you reaches for it right away. You talk first about the drive over, about the way the neighborhood hasn't changed much, about how strange it is to recognize a place you've never lived in. Then the silence arrives. Not empty, inviting. You rest your fingers on the lid. They don't flinch. They don't lean in either. They simply watch, present, ready. The latch gives with a soft metallic click. Inside, the contents haven't rearranged themselves. Photographs still stacked. Letters still bundled with fading ribbon. Time hasn't rushed to fix anything since the last time you looked. You slide the first photograph across the table. They pick it up slowly. That's her, they say. Our mother. Not your mother. Not the woman who gave birth to me. Our. The word lands quietly, permanently. They trace the edge of the photo with a thumb. You see their jaw tighten, not with pain, but with effort. Staying open. She looks tired, they add. She was, you say, but she was also relentless in the best way. They smile faintly. Recognition without contradiction. You move through the box together. Not in order, not efficiently. You follow instincts, pull what calls. A letter dated before you were born. Another from when you were learning to read. A postcard your parents never sent. The message written and rewritten until it nearly disappears. You watch them read, really read. Their face changes, not dramatically, not in ways that demand attention, but in subtle shifts that tell you everything. A breath held, a brow smoothing. Eyes lingering on certain lines longer than others. At one point, they stop. I used to think, they say slowly, that being adopted meant I was spared something, that whatever was left behind had to be worse than what I got. You don't interrupt, and now, they continue, I see it wasn't about better or worse, it was about fear. You nod. They were very good at being afraid quietly. They let out a soft, humorless laugh. So was I. You reach across the table without thinking. Your hand lands palm up between you, an offer, not an expectation. They look at it for a moment. Then they place their hand in yours. It's warm, solid, real. The contact doesn't spark electricity. It doesn't collapse you into tears. It steadies you. Buddy lifts his head and thumps his tail once against the floor as if acknowledging a completed circuit. You open the manila envelope together. The paperwork is clinical, cold, necessary, names hidden, lives reduced to forms and signatures. But this time, it doesn't feel like a wall. It feels like context. At the bottom, you reach the letter addressed to you. You hesitate. Do you want to read it, you ask? They shake their head gently. I want you to. You unfold the page. Your voice doesn't shake when you begin. It wavers once, then settles. Love is not divided, it's expanded. You pause there. They close their eyes. When you finish, neither of you speaks for a long moment. The house fills the silence with ordinary sounds. The refrigerator hum, a distant car, the faint creak of old wood. I was searching, they say eventually, for proof I belong somewhere. You squeeze their hand once. And it turns out, they say, opening their eyes, I was already part of a story. I just didn't know the title. You smile, something warm and unguarded breaking through. Outside, Buddy suddenly stands and walks to the back door. He waits there, expectant. You glance at the door, then at them. Do you want to see where it was, you ask? They nod. The yard looks smaller again, like it did the first day you brought them here. But this time, it feels intentional, contained, honest. You stop at the patch of earth. This is it, you say. Right here. They kneel, pressing fingers into the soil, not digging, just touching, feeling the place where something was hidden and then returned. I always wondered, they murmur, if the truth had a location. You crouch beside them. Turns out it does. Buddy steps forward and places his paw lightly on the ground, right at the center of the patch. He looks up at both of you, tail wagging once, slow and certain. You laugh quietly. I think he considers this resolved. They smile. So do I. The box is empty now, its contents spread between you, no longer buried, no longer singular. The mystery hasn't ended in loss. It has ended in arrival. The house adjusts, not dramatically, not all at once. Just small, perceptible shifts, like it's relearning how to hold sound now that there are more voices moving through it. You notice it the first time they laugh in the kitchen. The sound doesn't vanish into corners the way yours always did when you were alone. It lingers, settles, finds a place to rest. Dinner is simple. Pasta, salad, bread torn by hand because neither of you remember to buy a knife that isn't buried in a moving box. You eat, standing at the counter, shoulders brushing occasionally, not apologizing when they do. Buddy stations himself between you, hopeful and patient, eyes tracking every forkful like it might be his turn next. You know, they say, gesturing with the fork, I always thought if this ever happened, it would feel heavy. You nod. Me too. But it doesn't, they continue. It feels. They search for the word, then smile slightly. Ordinary, in a good way. You consider that. The way the light catches the rim of their glass. The way your kitchen has absorbed another presence without protest. Maybe that's what healing looks like, you say. Not big gestures, just room. After dinner, you sit on the back steps. The air is cooler now, carrying the scent of damp earth and cut grass. The yard is quiet, the disturbed patch nearly indistinguishable from the rest. They rest their elbows on their knees, mirroring your posture without noticing. I don't want to rush anything, they say. I don't need answers to everything all at once, you nod. Neither do I. But, they add, glancing at you, I'd like to be included, going forward, if that's okay. The question isn't desperate, it isn't cautious, it's simply honest. You don't hesitate. I'd like that, you say. A lot. Buddy flops down with a contented sigh, stretching across both of your feet like he's claiming shared territory. You laugh softly, and they join you, the sound easy now, unforced. In the days that follow, life begins to layer itself differently. They visit again, then again, sometimes with purpose, sorting through more boxes, scanning photos, identifying faces you never learned to name, sometimes without one coffee on the porch. Quiet walks through the neighborhood, conversations that wander and circle back naturally. You learn small things. They hate cilantro. You can't stand reality TV. You both tap your fingers when thinking. You both pause before saying your parents' names. Even now, even together, the contractor finishes reinforcing the foundation. The house stops creaking so much at night. The walls feel steadier. So do you. One afternoon, you find Buddy in the yard again, pawing lightly at the grass, not digging this time, just testing. Hey, you say gently, that's done. He looks up at you, tail wagging once, then trots back toward the house, satisfied. His job completed, his role fulfilled. You realize then that he hasn't tried to return to that spot since the day you all stood there together. Some instincts know when to let go. You frame one of the photographs, the one of your mother holding the baby, and hang it in the hallway. Not prominently, not hidden, just placed where it belongs, part of the story instead of its secret. They stop in front of it the first time they see it. Thank you, they say quietly. For what, you ask. For not pretending this didn't happen, they reply. You swallow, then nod. For not pretending with me. The box itself finds a new home on a shelf in the living room. Open now, emptied of its weight but not its meaning, a container that once held silence, now holding air. One evening, as the sun sinks low and the house fills with the amber of late light, you realize something else. You don't feel like something was taken from you anymore. You feel like something has been returned. Not the childhood you might have shared, not the years that can't be reclaimed, but the truth. And with it, the quiet understanding that families aren't finished when secrets surface. Sometimes they're just beginning again, wiser, wider, and finally allowed to be whole. The morning is quiet in a way that feels earned. Sunlight moves gently across the kitchen floor, warming the spots it touches without insisting on anything. You stand at the counter, hands wrapped around a mug you've already refilled once, listening to the house breathe. Not creak, not groan, breathe! Buddy lies stretched out near the back door, paws twitching in sleep, tail giving the occasional lazy thump like punctuation in a dream. He looks older in the light, wiser somehow. Or maybe you're just better at seeing what's always been there. The box remains on the shelf in the living room. Open, empty. You don't think of it as a container anymore, more like a marker. proof that something once hidden found its way back into the world and didn't fall apart once it did. Footsteps sound on the stairs. They come down slowly, still learning the house the way you once did, still mapping the way light moves, the way floorboards respond to weight. They pause in the doorway, watching you without announcing themselves. You feel it anyway. "You sleep okay?" you ask, without turning. "Yeah," they say. "Better than I expected." You glance over your shoulder. They're smiling, not wide, not tentative, just there. "Coffee?" you offer. "Please." You move around each other easily now. No choreography required. You hand them a mug. Your fingers brush. Neither of you reacts like it's a moment worth cataloging, because it isn't. It's just real. Later, you walk the yard together, not to inspect, not to remember, just to exist in it. The grass has settled completely now. The place where Buddy dug is indistinguishable from the rest. No scar, no marker. If you didn't know where to look, you'd never find it again. "That feels right," they say, reading your thoughts without knowing they're doing it. You nod. "Some things don't need monuments." Buddy trots ahead, nose low, tail high, doing what he's always done, interpreting the world on your behalf. He stops near the fence, then looks back at you, eyes bright, waiting. "For what?" you ask. He sneezes and runs off, satisfied. You laugh, the sound easy and unguarded. In the afternoon, you sit together on the couch and go through old photos. Not the ones from the box, but the ones from your childhood. Birthday cakes, bad haircuts, holidays you forgot mattered. They ask questions. You answer. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you say, "I don't remember," and it no longer feels like a failure. It feels like an invitation. At one point, they gesture toward a photo of you at 10 years old, standing in this very yard. "You look happy," they say. "You study the image, the posture, the smile that's real but cautious." "I was," you reply. "I just didn't know why." They nod, understanding layered into the gesture. Evening comes quietly. Dinner is louder than before. Music plays. Someone burns the garlic and nobody cares. Buddy gets a scrap he probably shouldn't and accepts it like a gift bestowed by fate. When the dishes are done, you step outside alone for a moment. The sky is deepening to blue, stars just beginning to puncture the dark. You breathe in cool air and let it settle. You think of your parents, of fear, of love, of choices made with incomplete information and full hearts. You don't forgive them today. You already did. Behind you, the door opens. They join you on the steps without speaking, shoulders nearly touching. The silence between you is familiar now. "Friendly. Thank you," they say eventually. "You don't ask for what. You're welcome," you reply. Buddy pads out and settles between you, leaning his weight against both of you at once, perfectly balanced. A living bridge. A warm certainty. You rest your hand on his head. Good dog. The mystery that once lived beneath your feet no longer needs guarding. The truth didn't demand retribution or grief or loss. It asked only to be seen. And once it was, it made room for something else, something lasting. Connection. Continuity. A family that didn't know it was unfinished until a dog decided otherwise. You look out over the yard one last time, not searching for anything. Nothing is buried there anymore. Everything that matters is finally above ground.